All right, welcome back to the next video. We are going to look at now a key ingredient of being a scientist. Now, clicking back onto the weather page, you have been using your skills of observation. Observation is using our five senses to notice things around our environment. You've used those five senses to gather information about the weather. Using observation is one of the key ingredients to be a successful scientist. The next one, the next big thing to be a successful scientist is using your brain to interpret or to analyze data, to look at information and really think about it and think what could be happening, why is it happening, and really giving all that thought into what you're looking into. Now, we're going to take a peek at some graphs, and we are going to think about which climates those graphs might represent. On some of them, I tried to kind of block it out. Some of them, it might give you a couple of hints. But in looking at the data, hopefully, we'll be able to analyze those graphs and think about where might this be in the world. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to look at some different air temperatures. All right. We've got some air temperatures. We even have water temperature on one of the places of the Rio Negro, which is a river down in South America. Now, as we look at these, each one of these graphs is a bar graph, obviously, and it is doing an average, a typical temperature over the course of the year separated by the months. Now, I wanted to start with this one, air temperatures by month in downtown Hilo. Now, we'll talk about where Hilo is in just a moment. But one thing I want you to notice, we are using Fahrenheit, which is the temperature that we use here in the United States. And, typically a super hot summer day is going to be 90 and above. A day in the 70s is going to be nice and comfortable. As you look at this, look at our graph. We've got 20, 40, 60, 80. So hopefully you're recognizing, okay, that temperature 70 would be about in the middle. Now I want you to think for a moment about Indiana and what happens over the course of a year in Indiana and how you might have to change what you're wearing based on the season. Hopefully you're going, wait a second, in Indiana, in the wintertime, I'm going full winter coat, I'm going hats, I'm going gloves. In the summertime, I'm in shorts and I'm sweating. And in between, in fall and in spring, I might be kind of in the middle, like a light jacket. But I want you to notice, in Hilo, we have about 70. Warms up a little bit, pardon me. Warms up a little bit in those summer months, but never comes down very far. Now, Hilo, just so you know, is a city in Hawaii. It's a very tropical place near the equator. Because Hilo is an island surrounded by the ocean, never gets too hot, never gets too cold. They're a very tropical climate that stays very, very consistent. Now, this next one, this red graph, we can see January, very cold, below freezing. Same with December, below freezing. With Fahrenheit, 32 degrees would be below 32 is freezing, so anything below 30 degrees is freezing. We notice some very cold winter months, and then we also notice some summer months where it's not quite 70. Now in Indiana, typically in the summer we're getting into the 80s, maybe even 90s and above. So this place, it didn't list. It said MEF. It didn't list where exactly it was. But one thing I can deduce, I love the fact that it doesn't say where it is. But I can deduce, okay, this has very cold winters and pretty mild summers. This is a place that might be a place maybe like in Colorado in the mountains, a mountainous region where it gets super cold in the winter and the summers are quite comfortable. Now going to this yellow graph. Oh my. If we are looking at, we have lots of summer months temperatures above 100 degrees, even through the month of September. The coldest is maybe we look at 75 and 50, so we're looking probably around 65 degrees, even in those winter months. Well, this place, this is Death Valley. It's in the desert in the United States, hottest place on Earth. And we can see that they have 4 months where the average temperature is above 100 degrees. So just by looking at this, I can tell that this is a very hot climate. Now, this last one I chose, it's a little interesting. We've got Celsius on one side, we've got Fahrenheit on the other, and it's interesting because it is a water temperature graph, so it's a little cooler. Water is usually going to be cooler than the air, but the middle of the graph, the Junes, August, Septembers, Julys, those are actually colder than like December, January, February, and March. Now wait a second. Normally those are the cold winter months. Now if you know anything about our world, hopefully your brain is going, wait a second. I know that at the top of the world, when it's winter, it's summer at the bottom of the world. And when it's summer at the top, it's winter at the bottom. And that's what we're seeing here by analyzing this data. This tells us, oh, it's colder in the June, July, and August months than it is in January. This place is actually on the bottom half of the world. And it's actually in Colombia, which is a country in South America. So as you can see, friends, by just looking at some graphs, we can start to deduce what that place is like by just looking at typical things like temperature. Stay tuned for our next video as we start looking at some precipitation.